Alrighty, howdy neighbors and welcome back to Deluge, Sermon of the Dead. Last time we started on our break and found out that we can really get along with Bernard. Anyway, let's continue. Ina sat staring into empty space, similarly lost, even though I always pictured her to be a decent student. Soon, Mai came over to our table. Ina, please help me with this. I cannot find the hypotenuse. Mai, I've explained this to you before. Everyone appeared to welcome the distraction. Rika, I was wondering. The land around Abbotsford forms an artificial island, and how come some of the houses in Ribery look so old? Rika glanced up from her syllabus. The marsh polder was reclaimed in 1942. Back then, a large stretch of sea around the Isle of Abbot was dammed off before being pumped dry and connected to the mainland. Ribery is one of the oldest communities on the new formed land. The houses here were built in the 40s, thus containing salient traits of pre-war architecture. Soon after its founding, some of the fishing families from Abbot settled here, in an attempt to revive their old trade. While the lake was filled with blackish water, they were still able to fish for herring and haddock. But once the water grew sweet, they had to venture out through the giant floodgates up north to fish on the northern sea. You should understand that the reclamation of the marsh polder left a huge impression on the inhabitants of the Isle of Abbot. Gradually, they witnessed the surrounding water sink down, until only a vast wasteland of mud remained. Their idyllic island life was brutally torn away from them, and these scars run deep in our community. But besides all the sorrow, the reclamation had some interesting side effects. Though the newly drained seabed was untraversable at first, soon archaeologists descended upon Abbotsford to see what they could dig up from the mud. And though the island community, still traumatized from their dramatic change in lifestyle, was uncharacteristically unwelcoming to their sudden arrival, the archaeologists proceeded to erect barracks and set to work. And now all present had put down their books and sat listening intently to Rika's story. So, what did the archaeologists find? Rika got up from the table. All this talking has made me thirsty. Let's see if they left us anything to drink. She walked behind the bar, where a small refrigerator stood. We have tonic, ginger ale, chocolate milk. After Rika had returned with refreshments, she resumed talking. Anyway, Marissa, to answer your question, the archaeologists mainly found bones. The first place where they started digging was around the old graveyard. And as I told you, Abe, she nodded to me. They unearthed a number of old gravestones that had eroded off from the island and lost themselves into the former seabed. And along with the gravestones, naturally, they found the remains of the deceased, which they immediately returned to the community to be buried underneath the new church. Then, after the graveyard was done, they expanded their search. On the exposed seabed, the archaeologists found remains of concentric embankments running around the island that had been swept away in the past by rising waters. Abbot used to be quite large, but ever since the late Middle Ages, the island slowly lost land to the encroaching sea. The archaeologists even found the foundations of stone huts that had once been submerged completely. Rika took a sip from her glass, which contained a clear liquid. For the most part, they found bones. Boring, old bones. What a terrible time the archaeologists must have had, digging fruitlessly in the mud. But you must all be getting very tired. I suggest we beak up this meeting in order for us to get some well-deserved sleep. You could hear Bernard stirred in his chair. Excuse me, couldn't help but overhear a conversation. Just bones, you say? Aren't you leaving out an interesting detail? What are you referring to? Rika's tone had become dismissive. If I'm not mistaken, I recalled that there was a certain implement. I'm too tired to play guessing games. I'll go up to our rooms. Allow me to refresh your memory. There was a curious artifact that archaeologists found near the island. They kept it at display case. Oh my god, I think I'm having a stroke. They kept it in at display case the university. What? I believe they call it the alien implement. Oh, that's a well-known hoax. It was a hammer of sorts. And it wasn't real. The alien implement has been conclusively proven to be planted by one of the researchers as a prank. Well, if it really was a hoax, then what a hoax it was. One downcast afternoon, an archaeologist dug up a tool, no more than 12 inches long, shaped like an asymmetrical double-faced hammer. It was completely unique to the area, and forged from a heavy dark steel. One of the faces was blunt, like an ordinary hammer, but the other narrowed into a sharp reinforced point. And though it were used to kill animals with a single blow to the head, and the implement was crafted in a way that was wholly unknown to these regions. At first glance, its surface displayed a scaling of miniature steel shields overlapping each other to form a thin steel plating. But upon further inspection, the plating appeared to continue beyond its surface in layers that descended all the way to its core, and the scales interlocked in such a precise way that they contracted upon touch, forming an almost flesh-like grip, without sacrificing any of the tensile strength of the tool. And the most curious thing about this item is that it seemed impervious to oxidization. After all the centuries that it must have spent lying on the ocean floor, it was without even a speck of rust. Rika coughed. How scary, Bernard. Isn't it great to share lurid horror tales among friends? But please don't overdo it. We wouldn't want to give my nightmares. I heard Marissa clear her throat. Bernard enjoys telling tall tales. The thing is, he never knows when to stop. Come everyone, let's go to bed. We still have 3 more days before us. The next morning, I was woken up by an oppressive sensation. Bernard, who had intentionally agreed to observe a broad patch of no man's land between both sides, had somehow managed to shift so far diagonally that he was now taking up a full 3/4 of the bed. A stale odor hung throughout the room. Without a second thought, I shot into my clothes and made my way out onto the landing, only to catch a shadow disappearing down the stairway. I followed it. Through the streets of Ribery, out onto the shore. I observed it for a while as it stared into the distance of the lake. And it wasn't long before the shadow disrobed and slid into the lake. Rika was a practiced swimmer, and I watched as she performed her workout routine. And while I rested in the chalky sand, the sun rose behind me, casting long shadows into the lake. After a 40-minute workout, she swam up to me. Oh, this is a different art style for her. Okay. with her hair tied up in a single ponytail. She made an almost childlike impression. Good morning, Abe. You've been spying on me all this time. I just went for a morning walk. That's funny. I never pictured you as an early riser. It's okay. I'm not the type to tense up before an audience. You smile teasingly. Guess we're done with that. After taking a shower at the faculty building, Rick had changed out of his swimming clothes. I received an email from Peter Helsing this morning. Apparently he has urgent news he wants to discuss with us. She let out an inconvenience moan. He'll be in town tomorrow. But I really don't want to go to the city. Now we're on spring break. Try to get him to meet us here at the shore. It would only be a 15-minute drive for him. I nodded. I can see the usual crowd is beginning to rear its head. Hello? Okay. Good morning, Bernard. Glad to see you awake. Did you find our amenities up to your standards? Sure did. It was out cold tonight. The sea air really helps a man wind down. I noticed. Hey, Abe. There you are. I've been looking for you all morning. Have you eaten breakfast? Not kind of you to worry about me. Come on, let's look for a quiet place. Though on Easter break, the Sunday Abbot never skips an issue. Let's hold an editorial meeting before the beach becomes too crowded. A meeting? But Ina, thought we could take it easy for a few days. She grabbed me by the arm. Fine, I guess not. Thanks. So, have you noticed anything? That Marissa girl. I don't know what to think of her. She appears so immature at times, though she bickers with Bernard. I wonder if Flock would be able to retain its queen position, with her in the lead. She's getting on with Ruby all right. Ina pondered for a second. She is, isn't she? I wonder what will come of that. As you know, Rika's father is a member of AIR. He leads the Cooper faction, an autonomous wing. Autonomous wing within the party. God, I wish I could read. If Marissa manages to sway John Cooper, he'll lead to the division within AIR. Although I'm not sure if she would be capable of that. You know what? Maybe they're just becoming friends. Well, she is dependable. Rika can come off as lonely at times. Marissa hardly knows anyone in town. Not everything is a political game, you know. Ina grumbled. That's where you're wrong, Abe. Very wrong. Suddenly Mai appeared. Abe, Ina, what are you discussing? I welcomed a break from Ina's paranoid ramblings like a breath of fresh air. Hi, Mai. You're late for the editorial meeting. Please tell us what you will be contributing to the next issue. You're holding an editorial meeting on the beach? Why didn't you tell me? But never mind. You need to listen to what I've discovered. While you two have been vacationing, I've been running a covert investigation. Ina stifled a laugh. And you must hear, I've discovered a mystery. Oh my, please tell us. There was basalt blocks there. She pointed toward the breakwater that stretched out behind us. That someone is from around here. You could tell by the quartz layers and some of the markings. She lowered her voice to the point where it was no more than a whisper. The illegal smuggling of rare stones is an international crime. I believe we may be on to a conspiracy. Stop the presses. Oh yeah. Stop the presses. We may have to put out an extra edition covering this breaking story. Ina reprimanded me from under her breath. Don't encourage her. She's doing a good job! What the fuck do you mean? As the afternoon progressed, the beach became increasingly crowded with beachgoers, who were drawn like flies to see the exceptionally favorable weather conditions. It's forecasted the temperatures have been gradually rising over the past week, and underneath the unbroken rays of the midday sun, it felt as though summer had come early. As I made my way through the multitude of people, I encountered Bernard. He was staring into the distance, an overwhelmed look in his eyes. Hey Bernard, I'm getting pretty busy. Have you seen the others? Our words appeared to pass right through him. Can you feel it, Abe? Nature has fully awoken from its state of hibernation. All is teeming with life. The sheer amount of precocious female beauty is when we're bursting at the seams. I hate this man. I hate this man. It's all too much, too sudden. I think I'm suffering from sensory overload. This then a young woman who'd been hovering nearby approached us. Quite an open conversation. Could you tell me if there is a post office nearby? There was a timid quality to her soft-spoken voice. I want to send a postcard to my grandma, but I haven't even found as much as a letterbox. I'm not sure. Did you see a post office, Bernard? Bernard just stood staring at her, wholly paralyzed. I'm sorry, my friend has been feeling a little indisposed lately. But I'm sure there'll be a post office in the village. Thank you, I'll be off then. Who knows? I might just see you guys around. She was cute. I turned to Bernard. Come on, what's the matter with you? Isn't this the whole reason you came here? To mingle with attractive girls? Oh, Abe, you don't understand. I couldn't. It broke the enchantment. He sighed. Man is born free, yet everywhere he is in chains. Come on. It's probably time to head back to the inn. As we left the crowded beach, Bernard slowly returned to his senses. Oh, Abe, you know, if I were ever to give something to the world, it would be a great beauty contest. A biannual event, where the greatest embodiment of female aesthetics are chosen from a pool of thousands to be crowned princess over the blessed earth. I chuckled. A beauty contest? You mean like a Miss Election? Would that be a gift to humanity? Oh, it's not like that at all. For in a Miss Election, both the interior and exterior of women are judged. But in my contest, I'll be about the exterior. Wasn't there a show about that in like early 2000s? I don't know what I want to say it was hot or not, but I can't remember fully. But there would be people and they'd go up like on a stage to be like critiqued about like if they're proportionate and things like that, and then they get told via a scoring system if they are in fact attractive. It would not fly today, but I have a feeling that's what he's trying to do, and in that case, he should be fired. That's what it's all about, the origin of man. No. Do you remember the Judgment of Paris from Greek mythology? When the young Prince Paris gifted his golden apple to Aphrodite, crowning her the most beautiful goddess of all. Eventually, a single event led to the destruction of Troy and the birth of the modern world. There was so much in the middle of that you just completely skipped over. Like the fact that it wasn't just Aphrodite, it was so much other shit. Wasn't Achilles there? And they're like, let's bless this man. And they said, actually, we're gonna give him one handicap, and it's if he twists his ankle. Sorry. Back in the action. It's all because of a beauty pageant. That's not what it was. Enough of beauty. What else do we have? He's become overly sentimental, reveling his idiotic words. That evening, we returned to the common room. Come on, Rika. Open up the liquor cabinet. It's time to make some cocktails. Rika pouted doubtfully. I'm not sure, Marissa. School has entrusted us to act responsibly at all times. Oh, come on. A little alcohol won't hurt, will it? You must have started taking Holy Communion by now. But work so hard. You can't hold an excursion without some leisure. Marissa, we spent the entire day at the beach. But Rika has already yielded. Okay, that's we're all of drinking age. I see no issue in indulging a little. Aren't they all seniors in high school? I don't know about that. But all those that are still enrolled in Abbotsford High will be limited to 1 glass. Please don't make me regret this. Oh, I 100% will. With a squeal of delight, Marissa bounded toward the bar, where she began stirring up a batch of Tom Collinses. I don't know. I don't know what Tom Collins is. I do not partake. I'll have a glass of the Glen Farkless 15-year-old. Rod's words were lost in the ambient murmur. When Marissa returned, she handed each of us a glass of clear liquid. Wow, this is so good. Better than wine. Makes you sleepy, though. Hopefully we carried Maya up to her bed. Damn. As the night progressed, the common room grew quieter. Marissa, Ina, and I sat studying at one of the round tables, while Bernard sat in the corner, working on one of his plays. Sometimes we could hear him break out, reciting one of his lines from Pathos. For the most part, he was quiet. Hey, Ina. Marissa put down a glass. It was her third of the night. I love what you are doing with the Sunday Abbot. It has such a broad appeal. I never expected that from a school paper. Ina's eyes narrowed. I would like to draw your attention to the fact that we are not a school paper. Marissa ignored her remark. Oh, Ina, I'm sure you have a brilliant future ahead of you. I know people who could... She let out a hiccup. I know people, who'd really open doors for you. It's kind, Marissa, but I ask you to maintain the integrity of our relationship. Our only current concern is to cover the town council elections in a fair and objective manner. Ina's words trailed off. I could tell that she was thinking rapidly. Oh, Ina, you're so good. It's so fun. And that's so much fun. But to be a good journalist, you should be able to spin your web a little. Like an eensy-weensy spider. Ina smiled. Maybe you're right, Marissa. Maybe I should spin my web. Couldn't you help us out a little? As a politician, you must be privy to all kinds of information. Can I refill your glass for you? Oh, Ina, there's no need to get me drunk. I'll tell you anything you want. She stared into Ina's eyes intensively. Oh, so much concern. Have you ever heard a story of Anna Sanders? Ina shook her head. On 57 Oystercatcher Lane, there was an apartment on the 2nd floor, so small and unassuming that you'd hardly notice it. There is something off about this apartment. Something I've been wanting to share. Dun dun dun! Even though Marissa is slurring her words, Ina had become all ears. There are things happening in Abbotsford, Ina, that cannot bear the light of day. Things that are impossible to uncover without the right entrances. So what's the deal with 56 Oystercatcher Lane? I saw Ina make a quick note of the address in her notebook. Things are happening in Oystercatcher Lane. Dark, disgusting things. If I told you, you wouldn't believe me. But please. Marissa moved to take another sip of her glass, but Ina stopped her. In the registry, there are ways to look up the, provenance of all of Abbot's first real estate. And the tax statuses. The tax exempt status, Please look into that. I'm sure you'll figure out for yourself. What's going on? That this leads all the way up to the mayor. Ina frowned. Mayor Van Linden. Your main political rival, you mean? Marissa brushed aside Ina's remark. Don't believe me. Look it up for yourselves. Do your duty. Before Ina could stop her, she took a large sip from her glass. Marissa, who is Ann Sanders? Anna? A look of utter sadness appeared in her eyes. Oh, proud Saint Margaret. For a second she hid her face in her hands. Before she broke out singing. Oh, I forbid you maidens all, that wear gold in your hair, to come or go by Carter High, for young Tim Lynn is there. In the corner of the room, I could hear Bernard humming along with the tune. Ina sighed. She's had too much. A little wine can loosen the tongues, but too much and it detaches them. Won't be long before she passes out. Come on, Abe, let's go to bed. While Ina, Marissa, and Bernard tidied up the common room, I made my way toward the stairs in order to assure myself an uncontestable sleeping spot for the night. The second I stepped out into the dark hallway, I bumped into an unforeseen figure. Naomi! I thought you went to bed an hour ago. I just came down for a glass of water. Please excuse me. So we decided, giving her free access to the common room. Well, go ahead. No, I've changed my mind. Okay. And without further explanation, she disappeared up the stairs. Nice. The next day, we hung around the inn until noon, when Rika and I distanced ourselves from the rest of the crowd. She had arranged to meet up with Peter near the North Point, where the natural sandbar ran far out into the lake. God! Frequented only by incidental bird watchers. This secluded place would offer enough privacy to discuss our affairs. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us. It's nothing. I wish my own students would take this much interest in my work. But students can be so calculating these days. What's beyond the exam, is what they ask me whenever I delve too deep into a subject. As if grades are all that matters. You can't become an anthropologist just by taking tests. So how does one become an anthropologist? You need to be willing to take a long look into the eyes of humanity. Even if you are chilled to the bone by what stares back at you. Rika smirked. Let me guess. Sometimes you may even need to get on your knees and dig graves. Peter swallowed. It's not like that. Uh-huh. And so the legend goes. The thing you must understand. In the days of Brom Bulwer, there were many academic misconceptions about isolated communities like yours. Scholars speculated that the inhabitants of Abbot suffered from physical and mental degeneration due to inbreeding that would occur on the island. There are many stereotypes about the Abberdian. I can't make it work in my mouth. The Abbot Islanders. With their short arms and pasty white skin, it almost appeared translucent on translucent? On bright days, what the fuck? I cannot read anymore. His eyes shot fire. How about that? These were just century-old misconceptions. I think even Bulwer had to reconsider his hypothesis in the end. Because in his notes, he states that the genetic makeup of the Abbot skulls appeared far more genetically diverse than expected. Ika murmured approvingly. Far more diverse. Leading to speculation that Abbot may have operated as a trading port at some time during the late Middle Ages. From Brahm, it must have been disappointment. Anthropologists were always looking for isolated pockets of human settlement, where development had stood still. His lips curled into an ominous grin. In West Pupa, there are still some tribes that live entirely without outside contact. Life there is tough, but simple. For the most part, people get by with basic farm work. But a mysterious, ritualized violence permeates all aspects of daily life. Religious torture, skin incisions, is enough to make you question their sanity. But although it may appear cruel to an outsider, to them it's a deliberate way to come to terms with the wanton terror, the disease, famine, death, nature inflicts upon them every day. Mirroring nature's violence within their communities is a way to assert control over the animistic spirits that embody the destructive forces of nature. Even though the beach is wholly empty, Peter had lowered his voice to a whisper. In some parts of the rainforest, systemic infanticide is still commonplace. You have seen mothers abuse their children, not even statistically, but matter-of-factly, as though it were the most natural thing in the world. For the 50% of children in these communities are killed before their second birthday by their own parents. Ika smiled at Peter coolly. Well, it appears that your exotic vacation has left quite an impression on you. Peter's face turned sour. Look at the time. I have class to teach at 2. I really should get going. Wait a minute, Peter. Aren't you forgetting something? Did you manage to find the skulls I asked about? And would there be any way to return them to our community? Their rightful resting place? Yes, no. I mean, I'm doing my best. The department's looking into it. But I still have to clear some matters. And if we do find them, will need explicit permission to release them to you. You have no idea how many old bones the anthropology department owns. Because that's all they are, in the end. And we shouldn't even go through the hassle. We should, Peter. Please contact me as soon as you hear more about the skulls. Theft of human remains isn't a trivial matter. Maybe informing the press about this whole history would help you expedite the process within your department. She nodded at me meaningfully, as I felt a shudder of realization pass through me. Oh, please don't. I assure you that they are working as hard as they can. I mean, maybe now isn't the right moment to inform the press. We could invite them once we hand over the skulls to you, though. And we'll both be featured in a positive light. He smirked. As he seemed to realize all too well, academia is all about public relations. Perfect! Nice! Hell yeah. They were playing the early access version. No! That's it? Oh, girl, I'm so sad. No! I want more! I demand it. I require it. I need it in my life. No. Oh, I'm so upset. Fuck! Damn it. So fucking rude. Alright, well, I guess that's the end of the demo for Deluge, Sermon of the Dead. I love Deluge. Just like as a matter of fact. And I'm so sad the demo only goes that far. But I'm so ready for more. When there is more, I will be there. With bated breath, heart a-fluttering, ready to go. So excited. Alright, well, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I will see you later.